Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick.
And this is a less hairy Justin.
Welcome back to the Hangar Bay, our weekly show where we talk about your submitted X-Wing lists, and we're nearly through our full rotation of all the factions now.
Yep, it's been 7 weeks.
I know. Actually, we had the extra one as well, so it will be 8 weeks by the time we finish it.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, indeed. So, Resistance next week. For the time being, let's talk about the Naboo Starfighter.
Yes, the N1 Royal Starfighter.
Royal N1, N1 Royal, whatever. It's the really cool yellow thing from episode 1.
Looks so good.
Indeed. I gotta say, with the prequel movies, one of my favourite thing about them is the overall sort of aesthetic of the visuals and sound. And the N1 Starfighter was easily one of my favourite things from episode 1. Especially from a universe that has focused on so many rugged ships that have seen way too many fights. Having like this clean-cut like police ship that just every now and then...
It spins so well.
It spins beautifully.
Oh, such a good spinner.
It's so shiny. It's such a gorgeous looking ship. And
it's that chrome, I think. The chrome
indeed.
Against that like just bright yellow.
And it still feels like it fits within the Star Wars universe. I can't explain why that is, but... I just love this ship aesthetically. Yeah. I always have. It's really, really cool. And in the context of X-Wing, this was just added on to the Republic faction. And
it's seeing a good amount of play.
It is seeing a very good amount of play. Rick Olay, in the last... That's the one. Rick Olay, in the last Meta Watch we did, was on every single Republic list on these three here. In the Gen Con North American Championships. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Rick seems like a really decent pilot. Good, relatively consistent ability that has offensive power at Initiative 5 is something that Tournament Spikes tend to like.
Yeah, he's sort of taking the place of that third Jedi Starfighter, but able to use his ability really well.
Indeed. In fact, it seems like that's a thing you can do with a few of these different pilots. Before we talk any more about these pilots in these lists, let's have a look at the ship itself. 2 red dice, 2 agility, 3 hull, 2 shield, focus target lock barrel roll boost, and it has a system astromech and torpedo slot.
It's got some pretty good stats, especially for the Republic. They're normally, a bit further down the line in terms of...
The old factions tend not to have as good stats.
Yeah.
Not a lot of things get access to system, for example. I think it's just it and the Hyena. There'll probably be something else that I've forgotten. The dial looks really, really awesome, and plus it has full throttle. The same baked-in ability as the TIE Defender, which gives you an evade token whenever you do a speed 3 to 5 maneuver.
Yeah, I do love me a TIE Defender, and I really should probably try flying this ship at some stage. Just TIE Defender Light, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, it has the system like a TIE Defender, but... Let's face it, the stats aren't nearly as good. 2 red dice, 2 green dice as opposed to 3 and 3. Yeah. This is not your all-round brawl that TIE Defender is. It still has a nice bit of speed, a nice bit of versatility thanks to astromech and system. That's always a really nice combo to have. Yeah. And full throttle, as always, pairs very nicely with the talent card Duke because you get passive offensive mods as well as free evade tokens. It's just rock solid.
With Duke going up so many points
to 7,
I think it's now a bit less of an auto ad.
I would agree.
I've been seeing a lot of people using Daredevil of late.
Daredevil seems decent. It's 4 points less than Duke. Even other things like if you need the cheaper options like Crackshot or Predator, I don't think these are out of the question. I think Duke definitely has the most upside, but you're paying for it. Essentially is what's going on there. If you would like to submit a list for us to have a look at in one of these Hangar Bay episodes, simply copy all of the text, including all pilots and upgrades, into a comment down below in one of our YouTube videos. Please also be sure to include a link to that squad within your favourite squad builder. Now, if you're unsure how to do this, simply head over to Yet Another Squad Builder 2.0. They have a fantastic squad builder built into this website. You have drop-down menus that can help you find all the upgrades and everything that's legal for the ships that you want to build with, as well as a simple text viewer that you can use to copy out all the text. And if you're part of the Patreon Discord, put all of this into the relevant list submission channel on that. Every week here, we are sure to include one patron list, so if you're part of the Patreon Discord, it means you have a much higher chance of being featured in one of these videos. Anyway, let's dive into these lists. And this list is by Kobold Warlock from our Patreon Discord. Thank you for the support as well, Kobold Warlock. We always appreciate that. Indeed, we've got Padme and some handmaidens alongside a Bravo flight officer.
Yeah, now Padme has Duke passive sensors, R4P astromech, and proton torpedoes.
The handmaidens don't have anything.
And the Bravo flight officer has R2C4.
Which is really cool. Like, apart from anything else, Bravo flight officer with R2C4, you get a nice kick of offense for 39 points. And it's hard to ignore, but at the same time, it's the cheapest ship on your squad. So if your opponent ignores it, they can be punished. But if they go after it, they're going after your cheapest ship, so it's bad for their MOV. I always like ships that can do that.
Yeah. So the Naboo handmaidens, obviously you're probably going to be putting them on Padme.
Ideally, that's the idea. Decoyed is the card that you put onto a friendly N1. I don't think there's a case to put this on Bravo flight officer.
No.
You want on Padme because Padme is your most expensive ship, probably has the most upside overall. It has the built-in Duke, that helps with her ability. Padme is a decent pilot overall. We actually had a lot of interest in this when this was first revealed, especially with this combo with Duke. I don't know, my gut says I probably prefer Rick Olay in general as an option. And that seems to be what the meta's indicating right now.
Yeah, Initiative 5 is just
it's
too hard to pass up on.
It's a pretty big deal. Initiative 5 is very prevalent. Also, it's in general more powerful if you can make it more consistent.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Padme is great. Not being able to modify anything but one focus on your opponent's dice is good upside.
But having 3 attack dice...
Yeah. Also, your opponent might just roll one focus, and then what are you achieving? It's awkward. It can be awkward, I suppose, is what I want to say. Apart from that, R4P, making sure she can do 5 forwards and clear stress. Why not? Proton torpedoes is expensive. You could think about shifting this over to the Bravo flight officer if you really, really wanted to. It does work with R2C4. That is something to think about. I mean... Yeah, these are things to think about.
You could drop that down to plasma and then possibly put a sensor on the Bravo flight officer.
Yeah, there are definitely options there. I mean, as I said, I don't feel like proton torpedoes is 100% of the time better than plasma torpedoes, but it probably is most of the time. Also, because of the way you're using handmaidens, I can see why you'd want to just stack a bit more on Padme. That makes sense with this strategy. To be very hard to shoot through with 2 handmaidens. A lot of what we're seeing in terms of submissions and tournament play is handmaidens alongside a Jedi.
Yeah.
Because, as good as adding an evade result over changing a result is better, let's face it, Jedi Starfighters are more high priority targets on your squad, so...
Yeah, and plus you've got the Force and that ability as well. You're more likely to be able to keep it going.
Seems good. You got more dice, so more likely to have dice to convert. Seems really, really decent. But also Padme with a proton torpedo. Yeah, I like that too. Seems great. Maybe think about experimenting with Rick Olay instead of Padme. That's the one thing I could think of here. But at the same time, if you like the Padme build, if you like the way she works, it's really down to a personal preference. So, seems decent. Thank you for that submission. Let's move over to this list here by Sam McPhee from our YouTube comments with Rick Olay, Anakin Skywalker in the N1, and Wolf and Jag in the Arc 170s.
Yeah, now Rick Olay has Duke.
Anakin Skywalker has plasma torpedoes and passive sensors.
Wolf is naked, and so is Jag.
Fair enough. I like Wolf and Jag without anything. Those Arc 170 pilots just seem really decent, and the fact that they have a lot of offensive power. The points are 50 and 48 respectively, and that just seems like a decent buy-in. I don't think you actually really have to stack anything on these to make them much better. I mean, you've got like the 104th, 107th Battalion Gunner, wherever it is.
Yeah, you've also got Cody.
Yeah, these are things you can think about, but not really in this list. Not with the kind of strategy we're achieving here. Little Orphan Annie with plasma torpedoes and passive sensors.
Yeah, no. Seems pretty good.
Seems good. You can always barrel roll and then passive sensors and then get the target lock.
Yeah, that is a thing you can do.
Passive sensors don't typically work with like the whole bonus action thing, but Anakin's barrel roll happens before he takes action, so you're still using the same window to use your passive sensors, so there's no problem with the way that works. That's all fine. And plasma torpedoes, being able to constantly move that'd be so frustrating to fly against. Let's try spinning. That's a neat trick. Seems really, really good. Ricochet with Duke. Yep. Sure, I've got no complaints there. I think if you are going to staple one upgrade onto Ricochet, it's Duke.
The only thing I can think of is if you want to have a bid, maybe drop that down to maybe Daredevil or something like that. You can
think about that for sure.
But,
you've only got Ricochet at Initiative 5 for the sake of the bid. Yeah. Daredevil is a significant downgrade. It's also 4 points less. I think there's a conversation around that. For sure, but Ricochet specifically wants to fly fast. I mean, his synergy with Duke is just so solid.
Yeah.
It's almost like Whisper level synergy with Duke. So for that reason, think about it, but at the same time, what a 4 point bid. If it really matters at your LGS to have a 4 point bid, sure, but...
Maybe, but I think you probably actually... Yeah,
I
feel better with Duke.
At a major tournament with an open meta, just go with Duke. It's a pretty safe option. No complaints. We're able to squeeze in plasma torpedoes. It's cheaper than proton torpedoes. That's great. As I said, I think it's a fine option most of the time. I don't think it's necessarily always worse than proton torpedoes. Coupled with passive sensors on Anakin, that looks like a lot of fun. That looks so frustrating to fly against. I love it.
Crazy.
I love it. Yeah, also Wolf and Jag. This almost feels like a bit of a jankyard build going on with these handshake abilities.
I see where you're coming from that, actually, yeah.
But even so, like Rick and Anakin sort of lean into a more ace strategy at the same time. I really like this. I like the platforms, the synergies going on here. I really can't complain too much. This is the kind of thing the N1 can do. I think it's relevant on pretty much all of its pilots. I mean, I know Ricochet is the main one seeing play, but this Anakin build feels decent.
Yeah.
53 points. Yeah. With a piece of ordnance. The list we're going to have a look at here by Todd Baucus or Borges. I don't know if that's Anglo or Spanish.
Borges does sound a bit more interesting.
It sounds a bit more of a flourish to it for sure. Todd, if you're watching, tell us how it's pronounced because it's a cool sounding name.
2 Bravo flight officers, the 104th Battalion pilot, and Worf.
Indeed. Again, a couple of N1s and a couple of ARCs. I like the format. I thought I'd try it twice in this video for no apparent reason. Both the Bravo flight officers have R4 Astromech passive sensors and plasma torpedoes.
The 104th Battalion pilot has R3 Astromech and Clone Commander Cody.
Wolf has R3 Astromech and Predator. Which is pretty cool, actually. Yeah. It brings the points a little bit closer on those arcs. The 104th Battalion pilot's 48 and Wolf is 55. I really like Cody in a list with lots of platforms.
Yeah.
It's even better if you can get 5 somehow, but not easy with the ARC 170.
This is at 199 points, so it's going to be pretty hard to get that 7th Fleet gunner on there anywhere, so that's probably why they're using Clone Commander Cody.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Clone Commander Cody is good enough in this list that it's worth the 3-point investment. Probably better value than the other gunner anyway.
Yeah.
Dig that a lot. This time we have 2 Bravo flight officers, again, passive sensors and plasma. Also, with the extra points, R4 Astromech.
Why not?
Why not, indeed. So if you're going slow, you're going to clear stress. If you're going fast, you're going to get free evades. And passive sensors and ordnance, so a lot of versatility. There's just nothing to complain about there. This is what passive sensors is designed to do. It's designed to get around the range problems with low initiative. You are going to fire those plasmas consistently thanks to passive sensors. By the way, if we do get to a point in 2nd edition where passive sensors is busted for some reason, this is most likely going to be the kind of thing which causes it to go up in points. 3 points, I always thought was, okay, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, because the choice of either a calculate or a target lock,
and specifically doing it after the aces come into range is so good. So good. Also, these arcs. Yeah, I like both the arcs. Predator and Wolf is kind of fun. I don't mind Wolf if you just get the opportunity to use the first part of his text. You roll 1 additional die. If you can combo that with Predator, you get a roll and a re-roll. Well, I mean, it's X-Wing dice, so you'll go blank. But it doesn't matter, because it felt good doing it. With R3 Astromech getting more locks, meaning you can lock something in front of you and behind you. It's not the best thing to do with R3 Astromech, but by the same token, there isn't really anything better we can be putting in that slot. If you cut it, you could think about making one of those plasmas a proton.
Yeah, there's no real really anything else that you could put on them.
Nothing too exciting anyway.
I suppose if you wanted to, you could put a different modification on.
Yeah. I mean, these are all things to think about.
But, R3 just, I think, feels better.
It feels all right. I mean, it's just all right for 3 points. It's not comboing with anything. It's not doing any, like, red line level degenerate stuff. At the same time, there's passive sensors working overtime in this list, so I don't mind the way that balances out.
Yeah.
I'd be very curious to see if you can make Wolf's ability work by target locking a ship in front of you and behind you and catching one, then catching the other one the next turn and focusing. I mean, the roof is pretty good, but I think that's going to be hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Just my gut feeling there. Nevertheless, again, 2 M1s, 2 arcs. I'm very interested in this archetype. I think it has a bit of potential.
The next list, also from YouTube, is by Paul Schaller.
This list has Mace Windu, Rick Olay, and 3 Bravo flight officers.
Yeah, now Mace Windu has sense and calibrated laser targeting.
The N1 Starfighter with Rick has crackshot.
And the Bravos are naked.
That's right. So this time we have 4 N1s and a Jedi Starfighter. You've really got to scale them back in order to fit that in.
Yeah, I can see that, but damn, that feels good.
That feels pretty good, yeah. Calibrated laser targeting is not brilliant on an Initiative 4 pilot, but it's only 3 points.
Yeah.
And you're getting a lot of upside when it works. It's basically adding a hit result because of Force tokens, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, also he's got 3, so...
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Good.
Oh, yeah, you'd happily spend that one every time.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks if you roll, like, 3 other focus and then add a focus. It's like, okay, that felt good. But, yes. And sense as well. You've got a lot of ways to capitalise on that. Every ship here has a barrel roll and a boost. Cool. Sure, why not?
If you drop a Bravo flight officer, you could change the 2 remaining Bravo flight officers to Naboo handmaidens.
Absolutely, that's something you could do.
And then you've got a choice of, keeping Rick or Leia alive or Mace Windu.
That's right. And then you have another 10 points as well to sort of stack them up. I think that's what you want to do with the handmaidens. You want to stack points somewhere to really capitalise and just play keepings off that one ship so your opponent can't blow it up.
Yeah.
And the current build with Mace and Rick probably doesn't lean into that. But if you add like a torpedo onto Rick or something, yeah, I can totally see that. I can totally see that. That's not what this list is doing, though. With Sense, I feel like just having more platforms to block is great. And Rick Olay just sinking more dice. Calibrated laser targeting, I mean, it's a bullseye firing arc ability, so the more aggressively you fly, the more close you get, and the easier it is to get things in the bullseye firing arc.
Yeah, and you can also be using those Bravo flight officers just to block and then use Mace's ability to...
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did the whole handmaiden thing, you'd have the best of both worlds. Well, no, you'd have a good version of both worlds. But whether you want the more dedicated blocking list with a couple of decent-ish aces, yeah, that seems pretty good. Mace Windu, this build for 53 points. It's nice.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
The points do jump up a little bit, although Obi-Wan's only 2 more points. In fact, you could just switch this out for Obi-Wan if you really, really wanted to.
Then you actually got 2 5s.
Consider it.
Yeah.
Consider it for sure. I really like Mace's ability. It is Initiative 4, and it is a significant downgrade. It's not strictly worse than Obi-Wan's ability.
I suppose Obi-Wan's ability means that you can keep passing off focus tokens to your other ship.
It seems really good. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It's like on Rick Olay that can roll extra dice. Basically, what I like to do when I'm talking about how best to modify attack dice, should I reroll dice or should I convert focus results? The answer is a secret third option, which is both. And that's what you can do if you have Obi-Wan. So that's something that you could think about with Rick Olay. And yeah, if it's initiative match, flying in formation, that kind of stuff. I don't think it's strictly better than Mace Windu, but it's something that I think is worth trying. So if you're going to have a go at this, I would try both. A 2-point bid versus a no-point bid.
Yeah.
Especially at like large tournaments with an open meta. I wouldn't stress too much.
No.
It's not really going to add all that much. But yeah, just based on the kind of things you can combo this with, Jedi Starfighters, Arc 170s feel pretty good. Even just having a whole heap of N1s. All of these strategies feel legit.
It's just a good ship.
It feels like it's really pushed in the points department to try and make it balance out in certain lists. I mean, 4 of it with some upgrades, 4 of it with a Jedi Starfighter, 2 of them with 2 arcs. It feels like it just slots into so many point bands so comfortable. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Just a quick note, we didn't have any lists submitted for Denis Elberger. Just a bit of a PSA for future episodes. If you submit lists with pilots that nobody else is talking about, I'm probably going to talk about it in a Hangar Bay because we generally try and cover all the pilots. And yeah, between YouTube and the Patreon Discord, just didn't have any interest in this pilot. I don't blame you. It's not brilliant. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But just a bit of a PSA if you guys are a bit more creative, it will increase the odds of you getting into one of these videos, which is always good fun. And yes, of course, next week's going to be Resistance, so stay tuned. I will announce in the community tab what ship that's going to be based on. In the meantime, do not forget to like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Reddit, and also consider supporting that Patreon.
Keeps that light on. That one as well.
Yeah,
there's a couple of lights.
There's a few lights on
actually.
today. It's good. Yeah. It's good. And of course, thank you so much to all of the existing patrons. You guys rock. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye.